Hello there. We all know about Anakin's nightmares of Padme dying in childbirth and how this allowed Palpatine to manipulate him into joining the Sith. But how would the events have changed if Padme told Obi Wan about Anakin's nightmares? After Anakin gets visions of Padme dying, everything begins to go wrong. He is denied the rank of Jedi Master and is tasked to spy on his friend and mentor, Chancellor Palpatine. Obi Wan, Anakin's closest friend, goes to see Padme to check up on Anakin and tells her that he is worried about him. Padme has noticed that Anakin has been under a lot of stress, and if Obi-Wan has also noticed it, then there must be a lot more that she hasn't seen. She decides to tell Obi-Wan about Anakin's recent nightmares of her dying in childbirth. She also elaborates to tell Obi-Wan that he's had similar visions before that have come true, so he is convinced that she will die. Deep down, Obi-Wan knew about Anakin and Padme's relationship and asks her if Anakin is the father. Padme nods her head without saying anything, and Obi-Wan tells her that he understands and will help deal with it. He reinforces to her that these visions will not come true and heads off to see Anakin. Obi-Wan catches Anakin on the way to a council meeting. He pulls him into a private room to tell him what Padme just revealed. Anakin confirms the truth of Padme's words. He reveals that he's sensing the future, seeing his pregnant wife Padme Amidala dying in childbirth. Obi-Wan pauses for a few seconds. He strokes his chin with his fingertips and tries to conjure the words to speak.
Anakin, I am on your side. I didn't want to put you in a situation that makes you feel vulnerable.
He explains to Anakin that he should confess these feelings and thoughts to the Jedi Council. The Order is black and white, and in some cases they listen to the wishes of students and masters. Kenobi was especially worried that Anakin would look for answers to his problems elsewhere, by following his fear and potentially exploring the dark side. Ultimately, the exact thing he does in Revenge of the Sith. After a lengthy discussion with Anakin, he ends up agreeing with Obi-Wan and feels that it is worth a try. At this point he needs answers and wasn't fully considering the consequences. They left to speak to the council. The council is shocked by the words of Anakin as whispers and mutters control the council chambers before everyone stops talking.
For how long have you and the senator been together?
Anakin is asked.
Almost 3 years, Master. And what was your plan when the child was born? Hide her from us? I really don't know, Masters. I just want Padme to be safe. Okay, Skywalker.
Yoda finishes. The council explains to Anakin how they knew of Jedi in the past who could cheat death by helping those around them.
Teach you this ability, we will, and allow you to stay in the Order.
Anakin learns now that the Jedi were actually quite forgiving and could bend the rules to the code if they wished. He was told that Ki-Adi-Mundi, a strong and respected Jedi in the Order, had a family of his own with many children. Mundi did not let his emotions or feelings for his family dictate his actions, but learned to control and harness his feelings to benefit himself. The council's decision may have also been influenced by the fact that Obi-Wan was the chosen one, and deep down they knew they needed him to help bring balance to the Force. The Jedi's trust in Anakin is increased. He has risked getting expelled from the Order, but needed guidance and told them everything. In the meantime, they ask Anakin to continue with his mission of spying on the Supreme Chancellor, as his true intentions might help solving the war. Anakin has appreciated their kindness just now, and decided that he would repay the council by carrying out their mission of spying on the Chancellor to his fullest ability. Anakin would spend the next few weeks learning his new ability, but more important, respecting the council's wishes of spying on Palpatine. Receiving word that the Chancellor wants to see him, he goes to the opera where he finds Palpatine. This is where everything changes. He learns of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Palpatine's words were filled with manipulation and very cunning. The words that pulled Anakin to the dark side in Revenge of the Sith. This might have happened again if Padme hadn't confessed Anakin's nightmares to Obi-Wan and then the council. Palpatine had no idea that Anakin had confessed his dreams to the council. Yes, he knew that Anakin was sent to spy on him, but not knowing this crucial detail changes everything. Anakin's views on the Jedi had shifted completely. He still did not agree with many of their rules, however had a newfound appreciation and love for them after helping him with so much when he was at his lowest. The least he could do was repay this kindness. Anakin leaves Palpatine in a hurry, rushing to the Jedi Temple and back to the Council chambers, storming into the meeting and interrupting the Jedi.
Anakin, what is the meaning of this? Explain yourself. Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yoda was particularly intrigued. From his 900 years alive in the Jedi Order, he had never heard of such a tale.
Skywalker, learn of this legend where did you? Chancellor Palpatine, my master.
Everyone in the room spurted out with their opinions.
Let's get him. He's the Sith Lord. How does he know all of this?
Mace Windu spoke up.
We must arrest the Chancellor, Master Yoda. We can bring an end to the war once and for all.
I agree.
Yoda followed. The Jedi left their seats, wasting no time. They left for Palpatine's office, sparing no one. Almost a dozen Republic gunships landed as the Jedi entered Palpatine's office.
Master Jedi.
Palpatine said, confused. He looked up to see maybe 30 if not 40 Jedi standing in front of him. He gulped. For once he felt nervous.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you are under arrest, Chancellor.
Jedi approached from all sides as he looked down on them. Palpatine raised his hands before throwing them to the ground, casting the largest force push of his life. The Jedi were all flung to the wall. Although most stepped straight back to their feet, Palpatine had sliced a hole through the window and escaped to the city below. The Jedi exhaled slowly. Mace cussed out of anger at him getting away, but this was also a victory. They had full access to the security recordings, which allowed them to very easily explain to the Senate what had happened. They do this and the Senate believes them, and Palpatine was removed from office. At this point, it didn't really matter to Palpatine. Once the Jedi figured out his identity, the position of Supreme Chancellor means nothing to him. Bail Organa would be elected as Chancellor to replace Palpatine. This would prove extremely beneficial for the Republic. Someone like Bail could focus the future on diplomacy rather than fighting, something that Palpatine never wanted. Since his removal from office, Palpatine was a very busy man who needed a new plan. He had lost Anakin pretty much for good now, which to him was a scary prospect. However, he moved on and sought out a new plan. One involving the same cunning and devious tactics of using Order 66. After all, the capabilities of this order are incredibly great, as we saw in Revenge of the Sith. Since the loss of Dooku, he would need a new apprentice. He still has General Grievous, who he would utilize, however he would not be enough. Palpatine travels to Mandalore, where he finds his old apprentice Maul, who has become very powerful in recent years. As Palpatine strutted towards him, Maul felt the same presence that he did around a year ago when Sidious came to Mandalore and killed his brother.
Master, what brings you here? If you think you can defeat me again, you are gravely mistaken.
On the contrary, I am in need of your abilities, my former apprentice.
What do you mean?
Palpatine looked at Maul, honestly impressed that he had still managed to survive after losing to Obi Wan and escaping his own imprisonment.
I have a plan which requires your strengths since the pitiful Dooku was killed. I need a new apprentice. Join my side again as Darth Maul, and together we will destroy the Jedi once and for all.
Maul looked towards Sidious, stunned. He never thought he would hear those words again, but he was mistaken.
I will do whatever you ask of me, Master.
Although Maul did have a hatred for Palpatine, his hatred for the Jedi far outweighed that of Sidious. Plus, after they destroyed the Jedi, he could then make a move on his master and take the galaxy for himself. They left Mandalore and regrouped with General Grievous, who was still alive at this point. Since Palpatine's identity had been revealed to the Jedi, his plan was in ruins. The prodigy of Anakin Skywalker was almost completely lost, unless he did something soon to try and keep his grip on the boy alive. Padme would give birth to Luke and Leia soon, which meant all of Anakin's worries would be false and he would not turn to the dark side. Instead, Palpatine had to focus on a new plan. He couldn't wait around for another chosen one to be born or spend years training the next Sith Lord. He had waited his whole life and it had gone wrong under his eyes. Palpatine had not completely lost though. He still had many tricks up his sleeve that he could employ to make the dark side win. Palpatine sat in front of Maul and Grievous to explain his plan as they flew to Coruscant.
The clones have been bred for combat, but it is I who orchestrated their construction. Upon my command, they will join us and destroy the Jedi. Our plan is simple. We march into the Jedi Temple, and together with the clones, we kill every last Jedi in the galaxy.
Now many think that only the Chancellor can execute Order 66, but I believe this is incorrect. Palpatine was very manipulative and wouldn't risk the chance that he wouldn't be able to execute Order 66 if he was removed from office. I believe in their inhibitor chips, it was encoded that only himself, Sheev Palpatine, could execute Order 66. This would have been encoded as Lord Sidious, because when Cody received the order, he responded "Yes, my lord," instead of "Yes, Chancellor." Order 66 would always work for Palpatine, regardless of his current position of power. This is why it didn't matter to him whether he was Supreme Chancellor anymore. As they land at Coruscant, they exit their ship to the entrance of the Jedi Temple with their hoods up. The three villains march up the stairway towards the temple, just as Anakin did in Revenge of the Sith. The dark, cold air grazed their faces as they prophesied the future of the evening. When they walked, they passed two temple guards and more quickly snapped their necks. They would have to be quick. Once the fight began, it wouldn't slow until one side was victorious. There were thousands of clones already at the temple, but when Palpatine executes Order 66, more are bound to show up. They strut into the temple as Mace Windu, Plo Koon, and Ki-Adi-Mundi approach them, telling them to stop.
The time of the Jedi is over. Move aside for the future of the galaxy.
The Jedi ignited their lightsabers as the colors reflected off their disturbed faces.
We will end this once and for all.
Mace spoke.
Right as always, Master Windu. We will end this now.
Palpatine pulls out his comlink and mutters the words.
Execute Order 66.
Lightsabers throughout the entire temple ignite as masters begin to hear gunfire. Maul, Palpatine, and Grievous ignite their lightsabers and attack. They were ferocious, displaying no mercy at all. There was absolutely nothing the masters could do. First, Plo Koon died after receiving Maul's blades through his abdomen. Ki-Adi-Mundi would follow after being shot in the back by clone troopers. Grievous leapt from Jedi to Jedi, slicing them in the blink of an eye. He preferred Padawans and Knights. They were faster to kill, their lightsabers more easy to take for his collection. Mace Windu was powerful, arguably the most powerful Jedi alive, but he was no match for the combined strength of Maul and Sidious. He did what he could, but Maul was trained and bred purely to kill Jedi, and Palpatine, Dark Lord of the Sith, master of all 7 lightsaber forms, they disarmed and killed him. The three villains moved to create absolute chaos in the temple, killing whomever they saw, not giving them a chance to speak their final words. Their dead corpses hung from the ceiling as they force kept them in place. The bodies of younglings spread across the floor as more clones continued to shoot at the defenseless Jedi. The stench of dead bodies would carry for miles as anyone near the temple could hear the screams of fallen Jedi. From the council chambers came Obi Wan, Anakin, and Yoda running. Obi Wan heads to the younglings' chambers and the others go to the main foyer. They ignite their lightsabers as they cut down their fellow clones, trying to find whoever was behind this. All they could sense was darkness. Anakin rounds the corner to see Palpatine slicing Jedi to the floor.
Palpatine.
Anakin shouts.
Foolish boy. You really think you could defeat me?
You won't get away with this. The Jedi are strong, and we protect those in need.
You will not take that away from us.
Anakin has surely changed now. Since talking to Obi Wan and Padme about his visions, he was finally able to see the light. He ignited his blue lightsaber and attacked Palpatine. Anakin had never felt so much power before, each swing so precise and strong, displaying deadly motions. With the wrong sense of lust, he would surely turn to the dark side, but he calmed himself. He channeled the light and focused on saving the Republic. As their blades continued to meet, with each blow, Palpatine was losing. He couldn't keep up with the Chosen One's speed and power. Was this the prophecy? Was he supposed to die at Anakin's hand? Is this how the light side would remain? Anakin found an opening in Palpatine's defense and swung his blade at him, killing him. Just as Palpatine took his final breath, Anakin rose above him, the Chosen One, fulfilling his prophecy of the Chosen One. He turns to his left, where he sees the machine of Grievous being torn to shreds with the Force. Yoda had overwhelmed the cyborg and ended his tirade. Now all that was left was the infamous Maul. As Maul scurried away from this battlefield, he ran towards the ship. He couldn't stay any longer, or his fate would be the same as Palpatine and Grievous. He knew this. Anakin's robes billowed in the wind behind him as he watched Maul try to escape. He had unlocked his true power in the Force. Anakin didn't run, nor did he show any eagerness to catch up to him. He simply walked like a triumphant man who had just won a battle. Maul leaps into his ship, turning the engine on and preparing to fly away. Anakin signals to some troops, not clones but simply Coruscant warriors who he was accustomed with before the Clone Wars. They set up their weapons and fired towards the ship, blowing it into pieces. Darth Maul was dead, along with him the Sith. All that was left now was defeating the clones. Yoda hurried to go see Bail Organa, who sends a message out to all clones ordering them to stop fighting the Jedi. The Republic was saved. From there the Jedi slowly began to rebuild. Their numbers were the lowest they had ever been in generations, but with Yoda at the helm and eventually Obi Wan who took over as Grand Master after Yoda passed away, the Jedi would grow into a power that would spread protection across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Jedi Council allows Anakin to stay in the Order, but also continues to be married to Padme and raise his kids. Eventually, once Padme retires from the Senate, Anakin would leave with her to live on the countryside of Naboo in peace. Thanks for watching guys, let me know what other videos you would like to see. Please consider becoming a member and join our Discord, link in the description.